Forex, I'm going to give you the floor to go off a bit. If you want to elaborate in more details, for example, on the animal farm, that'll go outside of the listed questions just a tad bit here. And let me go ahead and go with the first question. We'll go ahead and get right on into it. The first question is, tell us about your background experience in crypto and the history of what projects you've launched before.
Okay, so I'll try to do this as quick as possible because there's some other interviews that people can check out. I think you have about an hour, right? So I want to try to answer these quickly. I started working in crypto in 2012. I started trading in high school. I had a good friend who I looked up to who was getting into stock and stock options. I had a really good business management teacher in high school that got me interested as well. And I started, trading my parents' stock account. Actually, they created a stock account for me to be able to trade trade a small amount of money, basically to practice for myself in high school. And then shortly after that, my buddy was running a sports book, and he actually worked for some older guys that were running the sports book, but he was helping them collect money and do stuff like that. And this is back a long time ago when it was not easy to get payment processors for sports books. And they came to me because they knew I was interested in these different alternative financial networks, even back then. And I had suggested to them that they could potentially use Bitcoin as a way to do payment processing on their sportsbook. And I helped them get set up with a Bitcoin payment processor. This is all the way when Bitcoin was $14. That's when I bought my first Bitcoin. I bought $500 worth. I then focused a lot on trading Bitcoin, trading Forex. That's how I got my name, Forex Shark, all the way a decade ago. And I started my Discord server something like 6 years ago. I got connected with some different crypto devs who were doing pre-sale raises. This is way back when it was kind of the ICO days before the kind of pre-sales we have now. I had a lot of people joining my Discord server because at first I created it to kind of teach people about trading and investing, and I was running some multifamily properties then and doing some options and Forex trading, and I was doing pretty well for myself. So I had first, friends and family join, and then their friends and their friends, and then I had a good amount of people in there. So I had enough people to help one of my buddies, who was a developer, do a raise, an early ICO raise. And he was a very good programmer and coder, but he did not have a great understanding of markets or market making. So he brought me on to help him do market making. This is before Uniswap. So there were some kind of public dexes, but automated market makers were not made yet. So you had to use various bots that could make a market for you. And I helped him design a market making bot. Through working with him and having that successful raise and kind of showing my expertise of markets, I was able to secure some other pre-sale raises and ICO raises and become an advisor for some big projects Trust Swap and a ton of them, MahaDAO, RioDAO, a ton of projects. And I did that all the way up until around 2019, early 2020, when I decided that maybe I would start to develop my own projects. And a project called RFI had recently come out. They were the first ones to do reflective rewards. I saw reflective rewards as a good way to reward the holder and reward the long-term participant of a platform. And it was elegant and simple enough that it could be used as kind of a base token that could be built on top of and added utility to. So I thought, how can I take this great idea and add something to it and kind of progress the space? So I created the first ever deflationary reflective reward token, and that went on to do 700x, probably a lot more than that. It got forked by a million projects, Safe Moon and all these meme tokens. All of them use reflect some sort of deflationary reflective reward model, and that was basically originated with my initial token Reap. And then we wanted to migrate to Binance Smart Chain because the gas prices and efficiency issues on the ERC20 network was just getting too crazy. And I initially built Reap to be something that I could build on top of and really build a great DeFi ecosystem. And I realized that was not going to be possible to do on the ERC20 network because when I built Reap, the prices to do transactions on ETH were like a couple bucks. But then by the time I was ready to really start developing, it was costing hundreds of dollars to do ETH transactions. So we forked it on BSC. We called it BReap. We did. I didn't want to move on to a new token without providing some sort of value for Reap. So what we did is created a DAO, which is a private group where we do information sharing and also private pre-sale raises. I made it so Reap was the DAO token that you need to hold to get access to this private group. And then I did the private pre-sale raise for BReap in the DAO group. So we added value to Reap by forking it on the Binance Smart Chain. And then once BSC was on the Binance Smart Chain, I was ready to start building that ecosystem that I wanted to build on top of Reap. And that's when we launched Drip. So Drip is a daily ROI token. It's the first sustainable daily ROI platform where the ROI comes from taxes associated with transactions and is able to remain sustainable due to limitations that we put on compounding while making the most of a very strong referral system that does allow for compound growth. So it has a viral compounding onboarding effect while limiting the ability for runaway compound interest. So when you have those two dynamics, it allows for a growth model that outpaces the compounding and the withdrawals from the system. And then what we're doing now is providing alternative utilities for the Drip token itself. This way, it's actually being utilized for various products, which gives it more intrinsic value. So not just as a vehicle to earn interest.
Yeah, Forex, you're actually starting to go into my next question. So to keep things organized, if I notice that you're starting to dive down one of those rabbit holes, I'll just go ahead and have you allocate the time for that next question.
So yeah, that's right. That was it. I was wrapping it up, so I'm ready.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So I want to also make note that for anyone that's watching the live stream right now, keep watching because one of the questions that I have for him actually has to deal with gas, because you were just talking about the Ethereum gas and your experience there in the past. And I'm going to give you a scenario regarding BNB, and we'll talk about that in a later question, but how that could potentially impact your whole ecosystem if they make a design change moving forward. So my next main question that I have for you is, some people, they may fear that the push for the animal farm is taking away from the growth potential for Drip, like if it's hopping from one project to another. How will the animal farm actually come back and impact Drip itself?
Okay, so Animal Farm is actually a V2 of a project called Manor Farm, and Manor Farm was the initial yield farm that we created, which was a centralized ownership, decentralized platform. So it has traditional founder and developer payment models, but of course it's a DeFi yield farm platform, and the idea for Manor Farm was to build a traditional yield farm and then pass ownership of it to Animal Farm. And we're using the theme of George Orwell's book Animal Farm, where the farmer has control of the farm and he's being oppressive to the animals on the farm, and then they rise up and revolt and take ownership of the farm. And when they do, they have a sense of ownership, and their yield production goes up and the performance of the farm goes up. And it's kind of funny because at the end of that book you have a new form of centralized control where the pigs become the new owners, and you have that kind of centralized control again. But Animal Farm is really focusing on the initial idea of how when people take ownership of their own future, they're able to have a sense of value there, and it allows them to perform at a greater in a greater way, and allows them to reap the rewards of their work and of their capital. So that's the idea for Animal Farm, and the reason why I bring up Manor Farm is because we have a very good idea on how Animal Farm will affect the price of drip from Manor Farm, because we've already been through that. We've already had a launch of a yield farm where people are being rewarded for adding drip liquidity and other non-native liquidity tokens and pairs. And with Manor Farm, what happened is on the lead up, of course, attention was on Manor Farm, so people were building capital for there. Maybe instead of depositing into drip, they were putting their capital aside to put in Manor Farm, or whatever their mind state was. But when Manor Farm launched, what we saw was drip did a small correction, something like a 10% correction, and this was because some people had drip in their wallet and they sold a portion of it to make BUSD to pair with drip and stake it in Manor Farm. But what this did was add more liquidity to drip. So that capital didn't actually leave drip. It just went from being only on the buy side of the order book to being a full liquidity pair. And then very shortly after that, because there's only so much drip in circulation, the vast majority of it is locked up in contracts. The new demand for people to buy drip, to add liquidity to it, to use it in the Manor Farm, caused a 3x plus pump in price in the first couple weeks. And Animal Farm takes the benefits that was allocated to drip and improves it on a major way, especially with the improvements that we've made over the past couple weeks. And we can speak to that. Really, I had an idea. I'm not sure. I saw that you gave me a list of questions, but I'm open for anybody to ask anything. So I didn't even go through them. I was like, he can ask me whatever he wants. I don't care. I prefer it that way. So I'm not sure if you're going to ask about this, but I can get into it now. We had a initial structure for Animal Farm where Dog BUSD, Dog BNB, and Drip BUSD was what was farming the governance token for Animal Farm. And there's two assets. There's a reward asset or a token, and there's a governance token on Animal Farm. And previously, you could farm the governance token, which gives you ownership of the platform as a whole, with either Drip BUSD or Dogs BUSD or dog BNB or single asset dogs. And we made an adjustment there because the dog token has a variable tax applied to it, which acts as a form of vesting without the negative externalities of vesting. So when I say that, I'm speaking to the fact that when you vest a token, when a token is locked up, it has predictable unlock periods where everybody knows, okay, in 1 month, a bunch of tokens are going to be released. The month after that, a bunch of tokens are going to be released, or next week, a bunch of tokens are going to be released. And what happens is people that have the tokens, even if they are supporters of the project, will front run that, knowing that, okay, in a week when all these tokens hit the market, we're going to have a price correction, so I better sell before. And if they're a supporter, then maybe if you think I'll buy back in lower. That is obviously harmful to the project if you have these kinds of predictable events where the circulating supply is going to have a massive increase.
One second, Forex. Just to clarify to everyone, this is actually what my next question is, which is what were the hurdles that you've dealt with since the Animal Farm's first launch that's required all these months of downtime to troubleshoot and resolve this? So I know you're already talking about the front running, but if there's any other elements that kind of can also contributed towards you needing to relaunch the Animal Farm and it taking so long, if you could include that in your explanation right now too, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So so instead of having a traditional vesting model where the tokens are locked with predictable unlock periods, we're using a variable tax model where the token, the dog token, when you buy it, get it, someone sends it to you, when you farm it, if you win it in the dog's roulette game, however you get these dog tokens, they start off with a 90% tax. And this acts as a form of vesting because, of course, people are not going to want to sell with a 90% tax, but they can stake it in what we call our loyalty contract, the dog pound. And when they do, their variable tax on the dog token is reduced by 1% a day. And this allows them to basically unlock their dog tokens over a period of time, but it's up to everybody to make their own decision when it makes sense for them to sell the token, if it ever does make sense for them to sell the token, based on the tax that's applied to it. And when you have virtually no sell pressure because the tax starts out so high, you're going to have rapid price appreciation. And at some point, it will likely make sense for some percentage of the holders to sell. So if they have say a 50% tax because they've been in the loyalty contract, the dog pound, for a month, but the price is up 10x, they may think, okay, I'm going to pay a 50% tax, but the price is up 10x. That's a 5x for me, and maybe it makes sense for me to sell right now for a 5x profit, even though I'm paying a 50% tax. And people will make their own decision on when it makes sense for them to do that. So you don't have these predictable unlock periods. Everybody is deciding based on their own preferences and their own risk management when it makes sense for them to sell. So you have all of the positives of a vesting model where tokens are not hitting the market immediately without the predictable unlocking period. And better yet, a traditional vesting model only locks tokens. There is no incentive there. It's just your tokens are locked. When you have a variable tax like this, you can have the incentive structure, the stick and carrot, where the tax that is applied to the dog token gets swapped for BNB and swapped for BUSD. So 2/3 of the transaction, or 2/3 of the tax on the transaction, gets swapped for BNB and paid out to the dog pound. So those people that are having their tax reduced every day are also earning BNB from the people that are selling and having that tax applied. And 1/3 of the tax is swapped for BUSD and paid out to the pig pen, the governance staking pool. This is where you stake your AFP tokens, your pig tokens, to get a greater share ownership of the platform. And that's where you collect 75% of deposit and withdrawal fees from the platform go to the Pigpen. The 1/3 of the tax that's applied to the dog token gets swapped for BUSD paid out to the Pigpen. And this is very important, capital that is staked on Animal Farm gets lent to PancakeSwap for 30 to 40% APY. This APY gets paid out in the form of cake, and then this cake is swapped for BUSD and paid out to the Pigpen. So if you're in the non-native staking pools earning the dog token, you're also lending this capital in a trustless, decentralized way to PancakeSwap, earning an additional 30 to 40% APY on it. And the way that you collect this additional APY is by utilizing those dogs to farm pigs, because now in the new model, the only way that you can earn pigs is by buying them off the market or farming them with dogs BNB or dogs BUSD, or getting into the auto compounding dog pound, which takes the BNB that you're earning, buys dogs with it, pairs it, and gets you into the dogs BNB pool. And then staking those pigs in the pig pen, where you're now getting that BUSD that's being earned through the back end lending to PancakeSwap. And of course, there's going to be some portion of people who are earning dogs but don't want to use those dogs to farm pigs. And those people who are doing that, they're still getting their capital lent out on the back end to PancakeSwap. So they're still earning that 30 to 40% APY, but it's getting paid out to the people that are using their dogs to farm pigs or are buying pigs directly off the market. So previously, having Drip be one of the assets that can earn the pig token basically was a thorn in the side of the game theory. And it's something that I was not happy with for months, but I also knew that if we were going to be removing Drip as one of the assets that can earn Animal Farm pigs, it would take away value from Drip on the platform. So I was not comfortable with removing it, and it was one of those things where it's like, I would like to change this, but if I change it, it needs to be done in a way that adds value to Drip as well, because it's very clear that it's a major improvement to the game theory of Animal Farm if the only tokens that can earn the pig governance token is dogs. That's a clear major improvement to the game theory, because then it means anybody who is earning pigs is going through this vesting process, is generating BNB dividends for the dog pound and additional BUSD dividend to the pig pen. And they're also, if they're farming those dogs, allowing for more capital be lent out to PancakeSwap, which also creates more BUSD to be lent out to the pig pen. So it's clearly a much better model to not have Drip farming pigs, but I did not want to take that value away from Drip. So initially,
just to clarify right here, right? This is new details that's pertaining, that actually affects the whole ecosystem. And for people that keep seeing the launch date for the Animal Farm, it's gets extended out a little bit. The last time that we had the launch date, that delay, the contribution that's coming into play right now are the changes that you're talking about here right now. This is actually more beneficial. So it's worth the extra wait because of the level of impact that these little changes actually has as a ripple across everything, not just the Animal Farm, but also for Drip Network, or the Drip token.
Yeah. And I will explain. I want to just go through the game theory real quick, which I'm like 90% done, and then I'll just go into detail why we had these delays specifically. But I wanted to add value to Drip if we were removing it from its ability to farm pigs. So what we did was move Drip to the Dog's Master Chef contract. Initially, the reason why I didn't do this is because our fee manager, which is the contract which is taking the deposit withdrawal fees, could not did not have the ability to basically decide where those fees went. So if before I made these improvements, if we had moved the drip BUSD pair to the Dog's Master Chef, the fee manager would be selling drip for BUSD and paying it out to the pig pen. And not only would we be not allowing drip to farm pigs, we would also be adding sell pressure to drip. So this is why I initially did not do it. But we made an improvement to the fee manager where now we can decide how those fees are allocated. And when I say we can decide, this is something that we put in place before deployment. So once it's set, it's set. But we have the ability to make an adjustment before we set it. And this allowed us to now use the BUSD associated with the drip BUSD pair to buy back drip. So what happens now is when drip BUSD is deposited on Animal Farm, the fee, the deposit withdrawal fee, takes those LP tokens, it unpairs them, it sends the drip to the tax vault, the drip tax vault for the faucet. It takes the BUSD and it buys drip, and then it sends that drip to the tax vault. So it's not a regular buyback mechanism where you're just sending BUSD, you're just buying. It actually has a massive positive compounding effect on the drip price because you're taking drip from the sell side of the order book, you're removing it, and you're taking BUSD and adding it to the buy side of the order book.
So I want to stress that part for everyone. He's saying that this is going to help add buy pressure to drip.
Massive buy pressure. That remembers Hex, right? Hex was a big project. I guess it's a pretty space. Drip did like a 10,000 in the first year or the first 8 months, say. The main reason
Drip
why
did or Hex?
Well, okay. Drip has done, if you include the ROI paid out on drip as well. I don't know you include yield into the drip appreciation, it did thousands of X as well. But I just want to speak to a specific this major price move in the first year. And it was that the development of the pair, and that's taking your token from the sell side, which when you add the BUSD, or in his case ETH, to the buy side, it has a greater impact. And you could remove, say, 10% of the liquidity and then use that BUSD to buy back the token, and you're going to have a much greater than 10% price impact because it has a compounding effect. So this is how 1000X, because the developer had 90+% of the liquidity and could effectively control the price to do whatever he wanted it to do. But every time he would do that, he's giving up some portion of his LPs, giving up his power to be able to do that a little bit more and a little bit more. So it's not sustainable. With Drip and with our model, it's not one centralized figure that has a limited amount of LPs that is doing this. It's every time someone deposits into the Drip BUSD pool, the fees associated with that, which is an LP token, unpairs those LPs, removing sell pressure, and then adding buy pressure, which has a compound positive effect, and removes those additional drip tokens that are being bought from the market and unpaired from the liquidity pool and sends them to the faucet tax vault, which relieves the pressure on drip to have to emit tokens to pay out that dividend. So it's not just having a positive impact on the price through directly adding BUSD to the buy side of the book, it's also relieving the pressure on drip to have to emit new tokens to pay out the dividends, which is huge. So this is going to have a massive positive impact on drip, that mechanic alone. But on top of that, drip has the lowest fees for non-native farming on Animal Farm. So when someone goes to the Animal Farm and they look at the platform and they see, okay, how can I earn dogs? How can I start yield farming on the platform? Then they'll see, okay, drip has the highest multiplier. So that means all things even, if it has the same TVL as another farm or pool, it's going to pay out higher APY. So effectively, 35% more dog tokens are allocated to be paid out to the drip BUSD pool. So it has the highest multiplier, it has the lowest deposit withdrawal fees, and you can use the drip liberation contract to add that liquidity to drip for free. So it has the lowest barrier for entry out of all of the pairs on Animal Farm. And then on top of that, it has this buyback mechanism where instead of the capital being used to add sell pressure to that token, it's being used to add buy pressure to that token, where all the other assets, all the other non-native assets, I should say, so you deposit Chainlink BUSD LPs. What happens is you deposit it, there's a 2% deposit, 2% withdrawal fee. It unpairs those tokens, it sells them for BUSD. 75% of that BUSD gets paid out to the pig pen. 25% goes into a liquidity helper contract. And when that liquidity helper contract meets a threshold, meaning there's more than $2,500 worth of BUSD on that contract, it buys the dog token, adds liquidity to it. And this is another mechanism which is going to be constantly adding buy pressure to the dog token. So the new game theory and the new mechanic adjustments that we made to Animal Farm are massive. They're going to cause a ton more buy pressure to drip, but just as important and even more important to Animal Farm, the impact that this is going to have on the game theory of Animal Farm is just massive, because now the only way that you're going to get an ownership of Animal Farm is by buying those pig tokens off the market or utilizing dogs to do it. And when you utilize dogs, you're creating all kinds of value for the platform, and you're removing dog tokens from circulation for a period of time. And that period of time is 100% up to the user, what they're comfortable with paying as far as a tax relative to the price appreciation. And we're going to see massive price appreciation due to the fact that we have all these various demand for the token, but effectively no incentive to add sell pressure, because especially initially there's a large tax which acts as a vesting and huge incentive to stay in these liquidity pools because of the BNB and BUSD dividend. And Animal Farm is the only lending platform where you can earn a high compound interest in BNB and BUSD. Actually, it's the only one where you can earn compound interest in BNB, and it's the only one where you can earn compound interest in BUSD, and we do both. So it's just, it's massive, right? This is something that takes what people love about PancakeSwap farming and PancakeSwap lending and improves on it in a major way. A massive improvement to the incentive structure, a greater yield paid out, and all of the benefit that you get from staking in PancakeSwap, you get from staking in Animal Farm, because when you stake in Animal Farm, it gets lent out to PancakeSwap on your behalf, so you're earning in PancakeSwap as well as if you were in there. So it's It's a major improvement. And then to
One of the
speak,
things,
let
Forrest,
me just
before you
speak to the.
continue on.
I just want to speak to the delays real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, yeah. So and then to speak to the delays quickly. So we initially launched a V2 because we were doing the backend staking to PancakeSwap syrup pools, PancakeSwap V1 syrup pools. PancakeSwap shut down their emissions on their V1 pool, 2 pool. So that's a major part of our project, lending to PancakeSwap. And we're earning 30 to 40% APY on all the LP TVL on our platform. So that's tens of millions of dollars. And if we didn't launch the V2, we would be leaving tens of millions of dollars on the table. Is used for rewards. So we decided that it was worthwhile for us to do a migration to a V2, where not only do we have to PancakeSwap's V2 Sarah pool, we also have the ability to evolve with the space. So just in case PancakeSwap launches V3, we have the ability to adjust to that and lend to the V3 pools, which is extremely important for us moving forward. And since we had to do this migration anyways, we wanted to take the time to make some major improvements to the project. That takes time because we're truly innovating. And in this time, I did not only build new innovation for Animal Farm, I also built a project called Scratchy, which will add major value to both Drip and Animal Farm, and that'll be coming. We'll be doing a raise for it in December. And we did 2 different games, Dogs Roulette and Dogs of Fortune, which will be dropping shortly after the Animal Farm launch. So we made great use of the time while it was while we were doing the migration, while it was paused for a V2. And then this most recent delay, which was a week and a half or 2 week delay, was specifically due to. So I don't need to go too much into it, but we had a developer who worked with us, who's a great developer, a good friend, but he left the team effectively, and we use a contract called Drip Liberation, which allows people to add liquidity to Drip tax free. We launched it about a year ago, and he was part of that development, and he had the credentials to the host, to the front end, to this particular product. But it's a fully decentralized product, so it doesn't need a specific host. Anybody can launch a host for it, so it's not a big deal that he had the credentials to it. But it was just a ridiculous coincidence that the host had an issue the night before our launch, and that made it so it was extremely inconvenient for people to use this Drip Liberation contract. And being able to add liquidity to Drip for the Animal Farm is a big part of the project. So we ended up having to spend that night and that morning setting up new hosting for Drip Liberation so it could be convenient. And since that was going to cause a delay, it could have only caused like a 24-hour delay. But if we had to delay anyways, in the testing that we were doing in the week up to launch, I realized that we could make this adjustment to the fee manager to do the things that I wanted to do with Drip to make this major improvement to the Animal Farm game theory. And when we were in a position where, like, okay, we're going to have to delay for at least 24 hours because of this, that's when I was like, all right, let's take this opportunity to make this major improvement that I wanted to make. Because really the only reason why we didn't step up and do it in the last week when we figured out this fee management is because we knew it was going to take at least a week to do to make these development changes, and then we would need to get a new audit. We would need to get new testing. So I said it's important that we meet our deadline. So so we're not going to do it. But then that came up, and we took full opportunity of it. So all things happen for a reason, right? I'm very happy with the decisions that we made.
I love that you said that because that's literally part of another question I'm going to be asking you in just a little bit. I just want to quickly reiterate, as I do in my other videos to everyone here, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Everything I'm sharing is my own opinion. Go do your own research. Forex, I just want to tell you that one of the big things, one of the main reasons why I love your project and what you've been doing, I'm giving you a compliment in the middle of an interview on this, but I just want to stress this, is that the ecosystem that you're building is not only with these adjustments going to help incentivize and propel buying pressure, as we were talking about. So this new change, delaying everything, it adds buying pressure towards the drip side. But you're creating lots of avenues to help relieve selling pressure by leveraging these other tokens, these other ecosystems. And for example, with stablecoin, you didn't design stablecoin. That's not something that's under your control from a coding perspective, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so the fact that you didn't design that should create some sense of reassurance to people that if they decide to participate in this, let's say that they're new to the ecosystem, right? And they go into the animal farm and they go into these avenues that provide them with rewards in stablecoin. At the end of the day, that stablecoin that's in their wallet, if anything was to potentially happen to your project, at the end of the day, they still have that stablecoin. If anything happened to one particular token, there's still all of these other ones that are in play, and they're communicating with one another. So that should help drive the incentive for people to want to come in. They come in for one particular reason. They then get discovery of all of these other things that you're providing, of which they can be able to do, which is adding more utility, right? Including the scratchies, the dogs of fortune, the games, the things that you're talking about, and having those roll out periodically over time. So you're building a roadmap. And this is what we really need to see in the crypto sphere, not just another meme token that's just a quick pump in, dump out. You made your profit. It was kind of a fun little gimmicky thing. I think it's very intelligent that you're evaluating a lot of these mechanisms that we see in traditional finance, but you're allowing that to be now incorporated in the world of crypto and adjusted slightly because of the fact that it is crypto. So I just want to commend you on what you're doing with that. And moving forward, I'm very hopeful and looking forward to everything coming to fruition, seeing the animal farm finally coming back up to life. It's been many months since that initial time period. And I know for a lot of people, it can be very tiring. And it's kind of like what they say, right? The easiest thing and hardest thing to do is to just be patient, to just wait and hold. You're the one, your team is the ones that's having to do all the back end developing. But like you said, everything happens for a reason. And so one of the questions I'll get to, we'll be talking about that. But for the purposes of time, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next question for you. And this next one is primarily for people that are watching the live stream right now or watching the replay of the live stream right now, and they still don't really understand crypto. Because Forex, I want you to understand something. You're very intelligent. You have a habit of deep diving in your explanations, and you go into so much detail that for the average person, it sometimes becomes overwhelming. And yes, they can go back, they can listen through and everything else like that. But a lot of people are brand new to crypto, and these new people that are looking at drip and the animal farm, my question for you is, I'm going to give you a scenario. Imagine you're talking to a 6-year-old, a small child. They ask you, what is drip and what is the animal farm? How would you put it in simple terms that they could understand? And try to keep it short, because again, I do have other questions for you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. I just want to say very quickly that Animal Farm is completely non-custodial, which means, like, for example, you said you still have the BUSD. All of the collateral that you stake on Animal Farm is you're the only one with the keys to that. We cannot access that, and we're the only yield aggregating and lending platform, and I specifically lending platform, where you have full custody of your tokens. We do not have custody of your tokens, and it's actually a major utility to have a institutional lending model that is fully non-custodial. It has basically all of the benefits of something like a Celsius or these other projects, which went under because they were custodial. So they had control and they mismanaged people's funds. And Animal Farm gives the benefits of this kind of lending model without taking custody of the user's token. So that's something, your capital is always safe, and you're the only one with the keys to your capital in Animal Farm. And that's very important, because even during these delays, if you had BUSD or BNB or Link BUSD tokens on Animal Farm, at any point you could emergency withdraw them and remove them from the platform. And that can't be said about any of these other lending platforms. So I just want to speak to that. So if I want to give a explanation of what Animal Farm is and what Drip is, very,
like
very
a small child. Yeah, like, and you're talking to a 6-year-old kid right now.
Okay, so a 6-year-old kid. Well, so maybe maybe a 15-year-old kid. So a 6-year-old kid is kind of crazy, but okay. So essentially, right? There are exchanges where people are able to exchange their crypto for basically their crypto, their money. We call it money. It may or may not be money, but they can exchange their money or their assets for various other assets. And when they do this, they're interacting with something called a liquidity pool, which allows them to be able to do it without any kind of middleman. And what Animal Farm does is allows anybody who has capital, anybody who has one of the tokens that is stakeable on our platform, to lend their capital, to lend those tokens to an exchange. And this exchange uses it to allow people to swap those tokens. And this provides value to the person who's swapping the token, because they're able to swap the token with very little loss, right? There's liquidity there. And it provides value to the exchange because they're collecting fees on every time someone exchanges. So for providing that capital to the exchange, for lending them capital to the exchange, they pay you 30 to 40% every year on the amount of capital on those tokens that you lend to them. And Animal Farm is the first platform that allows you to lend capital to one of these major exchanges in a way where you have full control of your tokens. You're the only one that can access your tokens, and it has an incentive structure built on top of it that allows you to collect your reward in the form of BUSD, which is a stable coin, basically a coin that stays at the price of $1. And the stable coin that we chose is backed by Binance, which is the largest exchange in the world, and has the largest treasury out of all the exchanges backing this stable coin to ensure its stability. And BNB, which is the main token of the whole network, which is used to pay for gas and has a very, very bright history with a great team behind it. So that's basically it. It's a platform that allows you to do collateralized lending to an exchange and get paid for doing that. And it has a incentive structure built on top of it that allows for optimal price appreciation of the tokens that you're getting rewarded in, and an avenue to use those tokens to earn BNB and BUSD, rather than having to make speculative decisions in the market. So you don't have to try to time the market. You can earn a dividend in BNB and BUSD, which is a regular payment, a daily payment in BNB and BUSD for lending, rather than getting paid in a token where you have to time the market and say, is the price going to go up today or tomorrow today? I don't know. Maybe I should sell some today. Maybe I should hold on to it because maybe the price will. You don't have to do any of that. You don't have to worry about any of that. you could get paid in a dividend. And the most wealthy people in the world and the people that know how to build wealth are not people who are doing speculative trading. The people who are really the wealth holders and the people that are building wealth and really um, uh, even people that are middle class people building their way up to wealth. The way that you could do that most effectively is by buying assets that have strong fundamental value and then earning a dividend on those assets and leveraging those assets to increase your earnings on them. So in the real estate market, how you would do this is you have a piece of real estate, you rent it out, and this rent that you're collecting would be your dividend on the property, and you can leverage that property by pulling equity out of it. Say it's $100,000 property, you pull $30,000 out. The bank lends you $30,000, and now you can use that $30,000 to buy more property. And with Animal Farm, you're getting paid a dividend, that BNB and BUSD, which is coming from the incentive structure on the platform, and you're leveraging that capital that you have on the platform by lending it to PancakeSwap. So it's basically how to invest in the most optimal way for wealth building on easy mode, right? It's like automated for you. All you have to do is stake it in there and then utilize the tokens that you're earning to increase your ownership of the platform and earn BNB on the dog token. So you're earning dogs and pigs. You're putting the pigs in the pig pen to earn BUSD. You're putting the dogs in the auto compounding pool, which is earning BNB and increasing your ownership of pigs. Or you're taking those dogs, pairing it with BUSD or BNB, and using them to earn pigs. So that's that's Animal Farm in a nutshell. And then Drip, I kind of already spoke to the dynamics of Drip, but Drip is a daily ROI for locking up capital, and effectively it's a way where you're lending capital to future participants. I'm going to buy this Drip and I'm going to stake it. So I'm going to refuse to remove capital from the system, and this adding capital to the system allows others to remove capital from the system if they choose to do so. And for putting capital in the system, allowing other people to access your capital for that period of time, you're given a reward for providing that value to future and past participants. And that reward comes in the form of drip, which is drip. The drip for this dividend is being generated through a tax on transactions. So sure. That's the most. And then there's a very powerful referral system on Drip, which allows for team building and just mass onboarding. And
so speaking of the referral system, if anybody is looking to participate for Drip, earn 1% interest per day, I do have a referral address in the description, as well as the video you guys can watch of how to get started with that. I think most people that are watching this video are already part of the ecosystem. They already understand a lot of these. I just wanted to briefly touch on that. But Forex, for the purposes of time, we are going to be going over 1 hour, which is okay for me. Hopefully you have time to be able to allocate to these other questions that I have for you. But I want to go ahead and move on to the next question. So before I get to my listed questions, I want to highlight that on the Animal Farm website, there's now a countdown timer at the very top. You guys should be able to see that, which says that it's in approximately 4 days from now. So very briefly, with everything that's been worked on, the audit, that should be up in the next 48 hours or so, correct? We're looking at having this launch. Oh, you're putting it up today. Okay, great. That element, we're going to have that be done. As far as the Animal Farm itself, it looks like maybe 95% at this point in time that we're going to be seeing it launched in 4 days, correct?
Oh, yeah, I'm 100% confident. And the reason for that is because we have it running right now on a side chain So we did not just get a audit. We did something new this time where we deployed all of the tokens. We verified, or not just tokens, all of the contracts. We verified them, and then we gave instructions for anybody that wanted to fork BSC to make their own sidechain in a software called Hardhat and use our contracts in the unpaused state, how they are deployed right now. So basically, we gave people the ability to fork BSC, unpause the dog token, and utilize all of the contracts however they want, and that's going on right now. And we have something like 60 people who are doing this, who are all developers, and they're running millions of transactions right now on Animal Farm on this side chain, and it's running perfectly smoothly. So that gives me 100% confidence that we'll be going live on Tuesday, November 1st, because the platform is live right now on a sidechain running flawlessly. And all we have to do to match the state of the sidechain is unpause the dog token. So I'm 100% confident. We never make a change to one of our contracts or our platform as a whole without getting audits. So we got a full audit by a team um, uh, who it's actually a new development team called Truth Seekers, who it was founded by the chief auditor of CERDIC. So he worked with CERDIC for a couple years. He saw that they were kind of automating their process and not really giving as much attention as they could to each individual platform or each individual project, and because of that, issues were slipping through the cracks and all of that. He didn't feel comfortable with that as a chief auditor, and he also thought they could be doing a lot more. So he started his new company, Truth Seekers, which is not just an auditing company. They also do wallet monitoring. So if you have multi-sig, so the community can stay on track of any changes that are being made to the platform. And they have a lot of cool, basically a whole security ecosystem that they're building. And Animal Farm is the first major project that they're going to be doing this for. So on top of the public testing and public audits, we have a full you could call it private audit or a full like institutional audit that we've done. And also on or tomorrow we're having a basically live front end test just to allow DAO members to go in and test the new front end before we push it. Just looking for basic things like maybe a grammar issue or spelling issue, or like small things like that. So we're 100% ready to go. We were ready to go 24 hours after the 18th. So we were ready to go on the 19th. It was just we decided, let's make these changes, let's get a new audit, and let's just have Animal Farm be as optimal as possible from a game theory perspective, and that's where we're at now. So we're definitely going live. Yeah, on November 1st.
4 days will be right around the corner. Now, Forex, you said you're 100% certain. From my perspective, as someone that's not part of the team, just given the history of things and kind of how we had that unexpected element that came into play with the drip liberation, I would personally put in, I think from the average person that's watching right now, you should come into it not with the full set of expectations that, oh yeah, it's definitively going to happen. But I would say I'm at like 90, 95%. I'm under the understanding that something unusual might happen, but the probability of it is so extremely small at this point that it's pretty much a guarantee. But now I do want to move on to the next.
Okay, well, let me just say quickly that basically, like I don't really like to bring this up, but we had a previous developer on our team who is a good guy, a loyal guy, a very smart and skilled guy, but he had a pattern of ghosting and disappearing when the pressure was on in the last couple weeks leading up to launch. And it has caused delays in the past, and that is no longer an issue, right? He's no
Sure.
longer on the team in that aspect, and the drip liberation thing was a kind of a residual effect of him being on the team and leaving the team because he still had the host credentials for that product, which we've taken care of. But really, our developers that we are working with us right now are extremely skilled, extremely competent. They are fully committed. They are not ghosting anywhere, and we're fully live on a sidechain. All we have to do is pause. So we're going live. We're going live
Okay.
on November 1st. I have no doubts about it.
Awesome. So the next questions that I have lined up for you, these are some fun questions. They're a little bit non-traditional compared to what you've probably been asked in most, if not all, of your different interviews that you've done. So for everyone that's listening, these are kind of like projections out in the whole ecosystem, those kinds of things. So you said you're a believer that everything happens for a reason. I'm a believer that everything happens for a reason. Do you think that we are on the verge of seeing a crypto market bull run soon, and that will also help propel the ecosystem that you've built?
Yeah. So the way I feel about the overall crypto market is that when Bitcoin does a really anything more than a 65% correction, that's when I want to start buying back in. I was saying all the Bitcoin was $4,000. I was saying that $60,000 was going to be the top, and that was just based on every major top was at least 3x the previous all-time high. And of course, I didn't know exactly at 60,000 it will correct, but that was my my opinion that at $60,000 we should start be taking profit on the overall crypto market. And I've been saying that for years. You can go on my Discord and see posts from 2018 of me saying that, and repeat like every couple months for years, and because people kept asking me where the top would be, and I once Bitcoin really broke under $20,000, that's when I started scaling back in because my perspective is no one is going to be able to call the exact bottom. No one knows the exact bottom. There's too many participants. There's too many outlying factors to be able to call the bottom to that degree. But a anything below $20,000, I feel comfortable starting to buy in because the way I see it, at most we do a 50% correction from there. That's because of all the institutional adoption and the adoption of countries making it a currency where taxes can be paid. You know, the richest guy in the world buying it. These major banks and BlackRock and JP Morgan and all of these companies buying it. That kind of institutional adoption is they are not short-term holders. They are long-term holders. They are going to secure the price below a certain point. So I do not believe the price of Bitcoin is going to go much lower than it already has. And as long as you're not over leveraged, I think, at least I'll just speak to myself, I feel comfortable being not over leveraged buying anything below 20,000 because even if we sit and range between 20,000, 15,000, or something like that for the next year, it doesn't matter to me because the reward in the next bull run will be so much greater than potentially a 50% correction. So I'm willing to potentially sit through a 50% correction to get the next 10, 20, 30x in Bitcoin. And of course that ends up being a multiple in the alt market. So I feel very good about where we are right now in the overall crypto market. And I've been DCAing back into it for, I don't know, the past like 4 months or something, 4 or 5 months.
So let me ask you this, right? BNB right now is also considerably down. The whole crypto market, the vast majority of it is down tremendously. When you look at BNB and its impact that it has with the drip ecosystem, it plays a key fundamental role. Right? An impact on drip and the other parts of the ecosystem, does that actually have as an impact on it? If we see BNB's price go up, will we start to see dramatic impacts on everything else that you've built?
So we specifically built Drip and Animal Farm to have some connections to BNB. So we have which are connecting Drip to BNB and some which are connected to BUSD. 1 second.
Thought that was somehow in my apartment. I'm like, what's going on? He's coming right back, guys.
Okay, I'm back. So we have some liquidity pools which are shared with BNB and some with BUSD. And the reason why we did this is because our BUSD pools allow us to have some independence from the overall crypto market. And that is because when you have a shared liquidity pool, the price action of the token that you're paired with will have an impact of the USD value on the asset that you have paired. So having a BNB pool does allow us to experience price appreciation when BNB pumps. But I think it's important to have a deep stable pool because that allows us to perform based on our own actions and just buying and selling of our native asset. So with Drip, this is why we decided to have a Drip BUSD pool on Animal Farm because it gives us a deep stable pool that allows us to kind of separate from the swings of the overall market, but we still kept our BNB pool on our native DEX to allow us to have price appreciation. It's not just the cross exposure from liquidity pools. It's also when you go into a bull market, there's just a lot more money in the ecosystem and a lot more people ready to buy in. I don't know if this is one of your questions, but I want to speak to the fact that we had just got approval for a fiat on ramp for drip, dogs, and pigs. And this is huge because it's going to allow people to buy drip, dog, and pig on our sites with credit and debit cards. So that's massive. I think that's
let's stress that part again, right? Because sometimes people kind of get lost. I think that if you don't have a break between you saying things, other people saying things. So I just really want to stress this to everyone that's listening. He's saying that there's now the ability coming up to be able to buy using your credit and your debit card directly on the website, correct?
Yeah, and this is not into BNB. So there's some other fiat on-ramps where you can buy BNB on the site and then use that BNB to buy whatever token. This is directly into our tokens, and it'll be on our website. So there'll be a link for a fiat option. You'll click on it. You'll pick the currency that you want to buy with, like USD or the euro, and then you could put in your. So we're using a third party basically. The reason for this because obviously we don't want to be directly collecting people's credit and debit information. So we're using a company that handles the payment processing. You buy directly into our token. So what they do is act as an intermediate between your bank and PancakeSwap. So when you put in your credit information or your debit information, you say, I want to buy $100. You do that transaction. They buy the drip off PancakeSwap and they send it to your wallet. And that's so big because, especially for drip, because there's so many people out there that are shilling drip to their friends, their family, their coworkers, all kinds of people. And then there's that huge barrier of, okay, I'm interested. It sounds very cool. How do I get involved? and then it's a 15-step process of,
Yeah.
okay, you need to set up the wallet, you need to go to maybe Binance or FTX or wherever, you need to KYC with them, you need to buy these tokens, you need to set up the wallet, you need to wait like a 48-hour period before you can withdraw from the exchange. It's way too much. And now it's going to be check out Drip. It's this cool thing. How do I get involved? Or you can buy it right on the site right now. You can use your credit card, and they buy it. All they have to do is set up a MetaMask now. So they buy it, it gets sent to their MetaMask, and they can get right in. And not only will this make it so it's so much easier for onboarding, there's at least one person that I know that has a chain of gas stations, and he's very interested in basically setting up kiosks in his gas station. So just like a Bitcoin ATM, but to go to his kiosk, buy Drip, and stake it right in his gas stations. And of course, he gets the referral reward when they do this. And it's going to be amazing for him because the average person, they've heard about crypto, they're interested in crypto, they know people are making a lot of money in crypto, they don't know where to start. But
Right.
when you have a simple kiosk like this that's advertising, get involved in crypto, make this ROI, and it's as simple as you go up to this kiosk, you put in debit or credit information, you buy it, and then it automates the process, staking on your behalf under his team address. Now that person can come in, once a week, every couple of days, and basically check on their account, withdraw, do basically anything they want, like it was a regular ATM. That's a massive opportunity that I know at least one person who's very interested in doing that. And I see there's people going around with drip trucks, like their whole truck is wrapped in drip, advertisement merch. There's people who have drip, in their businesses as far as advertising. People are wild about drip, and I know there's going to be at least a handful of business owners that are interested in doing this kind of thing. And I feel like the fiat on Rip is really going to take Drip to the next level because it can really become viral at that point, not just among crypto people.
I'm excited for it. So speaking of Drip, this is actually going to tap into my next question. So I'm sort of going into Drip, going into BNB, right? When we look at BNB and we look at how progress is made, many people are looking at different blockchains because they might have more transactions per minute, they have less gas fees. And when you look at people that are in the Drip ecosystem that are hydrating, a lot of people are compounding, say, once per day. And you look at it and you say, well, I got to pay this gas fee whenever I'm compounding, right? So do you think we could see BNB's gas prices be dramatically reduced? So it's an update in the future if they roll this out, right? Could we see BNB's gas prices be dramatically reduced? And if so, would you expect a significant increase in how often holders are compounding Drip? Could such a change cause any potential major changes to the system that you've designed to be required to maintain sustainability if that was to happen?
Yeah, so I could, let me just say that Drip, people were just asking earlier, what's the future of Drip? How long can Drip last, kind of thing. And I initially said, as long as BSC is around, because really Drip will just continue to run. No matter how it's performing, it will continue to run. It's immutable. It's nonstop. It's going to keep going. But even if there was some sort of issue with BSC, we could always go cross-chain. And I don't want to do cross-chain just for the sake of going cross-chain. That you spread your liquidity, you spread your focus, and it causes opportunity for arbitrage bots that are leeching from the system. It makes your liquidity pools thinner on the main chain, which makes it so it's more volatile. So there's plenty of reasons why I don't want to go cross chain, but if we needed to go cross chain, we absolutely could. And some of those issues are quelled if we went cross chain and just basically left BSC altogether. But BSC is the best chain in my opinion. It has the most decentralization for the optimal performance. So, there's an argument that it's slightly less decentralized than ETH, but it also has way better gas costs. It's way faster, and it's a platform that you can actually build on, where you can't really do that with the ERC20 network. And then Solana has all kinds of issues. All of these other side chains are more centralized, so they're able to sometimes get a little bit faster or a little bit cheaper than BSC, but they're greatly more centralized. So BSC is the best chain right now, and if they made some updates to make it cheaper, absolutely, that would be great, as long as they're not doing it by adding significant centralization, which I don't think they would, because they could have already done that if they wanted to do that. And Binance has been very good with their decision making as far as what they implement, what they choose not to implement, and their strategies moving forward. So I feel very good about being on BSC. And there's been people asking me, when am I going to create my chain? When am I going to create a chain? And the answer to that
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Save that answer. Okay. Don't answer that question yet, okay? I have that one lined up for you. Let's go ahead and move on to the next question, though, that I have, okay?
Okay. Yep.
Do you believe that it is possible we could see a drip price above $3,000 by the end of next year? So by the end of 2023? If so, what exactly would you see that needs to take place to be the catalyst to actually make something like that happen?
Okay, so I've heard this number before. I know where it comes from. So when we were in really like peak bull market, I was looking at the volume of onboarding, the volume of transactions, and various other analytics, and comparing our market cap to other top 5 projects and their market cap. And when I did this, it became apparent to me that if we were to have the same market cap as these other projects, which we are outperforming as far as onboarding and volume and these other things, that would take the drip price up to between $3,000 and $5,000, and that is absolutely possible. So I don't make price predictions. People thought that is a price prediction. That is just math. That's just saying if our market cap gets on par with the other top 5 projects on BSC, that would be the price of drip. And of course,
which is plausible.
Yeah, and that was in peak bull market. Now we're in a bit of a bear market, or we're definitely in a bear market. We've had a major correction. So now, if we were to get on par with these other projects' market caps, of course, it would not be $3,000 to $5,000 because their market caps are a lot lower than they were a year ago. But this isn't an infinite permanent bear market, right? We're going to have another bull run, and with this bull run, we're coming into it with Animal Farm now. We'll be coming into it with Scratchy, and we'll be coming into it with a fiat on-ramp. So I'm very, very positive about the price of drip moving forward. And of course, yeah, it could hit crazy values. I mean, there's so much demand for removing drip from circulation, and when we remove the barriers for entry and create all these new utilities for it, and what Animal Farm is doing now, removing liquidity and then adding that liquidity back to the buy side of the book, having that compound positive effect, the new demand for using drip for yield aggregation, Scratchy, the games we have coming out. The Dogs of Fortune game has utility and drip for it as well. There's a very cool mechanic that allows you to utilize drip in the game. It's I don't want to give away too many secrets, but basically, when you first enter into the game, you have a sign-in option, and you can use a drip to get basically a special benefit in the game that allows you to be recognized by everybody and be on leaderboards and like so. We have all kinds of stuff planned for drip, and then next year, I mean, maybe you're going to ask about my future roadmap, but I have a very strong future roadmap for Animal Farm, which will utilize drip. And this is not just something that will be built for Animal Farm or drip, but I want it to service the wider DeFi market. But of course, we'll start with our projects. And right now, Animal Farm is doing a collateralized lending to institutions. So it's lending to PancakeSwap. We have another major institution that will be lending single assets to shortly after launch. And that will be another option for people that will allow them to make, an additional 10, 15% APY in the form of BUSD, which is awesome. But our plan moving forward is to not just have this collateralized institutional lending, but to have individualized lending. So have people be able to take a loan out against their stake on Animal Farm. And of course, we want to implement drip in this. So have people be allowed to take out a loan against their drip stake, and also an insurance model to be able to effectively insure stakes on major platforms. So these are some things that are going to provide a ton of value to drip. They're really utilities that have strong market fit that are not being addressed in the market, and we'll be doing that, and drip will be a part of it. So I'm very positive with drip.
So to sort of summarize this in simple terms for everyone, when I had asked this question about drip being at a $3,000 price point, a lot of people look at that and they think that it's kind of a ridiculous thing. You got skeptics, of course, but to kind of take what you just said and simplify it down, you look at the previous highs of comparable projects that already exist. Historically, they've already hit those price points from a market cap perspective, the value that's as a whole of those projects. Again, these are similar ones. In the drip ecosystem, think about what it's added in value in comparison to those projects. Those price points suggest that a $3,000 per drip is very realistic from a market cap perspective, right? And then you add in that going back to that time period, it's not that point in time for drip didn't have all of these other things that you're rolling out now. And these new things that you're rolling out is going to add buying pressure, hence the delay with the Animal Farm. So that creates more opportunity for buying pressure for drip itself. And then on top of it, you're creating tons of avenues to leverage that drip to take off selling pressure, to suggest to people, instead of selling your drip just to get it back to your fiat or whatever, you can actually take that drip and use it here, and here in these different ways and be able to reap benefits progressively over time, right? To get like a residual income in multiple formats. And that design system will incentivize more new people to keep coming in. And every day there are more new people that are coming into this ecosystem.
And the goal is to have that dividend paid out always in an asset that is not your native asset. So always BNB, right, BUSD, something like that, so they can secure the profit in a way that doesn't require selling the drip or selling the dogs or selling the pigs. And we've set that up for Animal Farm, and we'll be able to set that up for drip with this individualized lending. And there's a lot of details behind it that I won't get into, but it will allow people to effectively take profit in the form of a loan, and it won't be in drip. They won't be getting that loan in drip. So, this is another thing that the super wealthy do to secure profit. They're never selling their assets to secure profit. They're either making a dividend, they're leveraging it, or they're taking out a loan because loans are not taxable events, and as long as the interest on the loan is less than the interest that you're making through leveraging that capital, it you never get to a point where you have to realize profit in the form of capital gains, and you never hit that event where you're paying significant capital gains. So these are the things that the big money are looking for. They're looking for ways where they can earn dividends with in not some volatile token, where they can leverage their capital, where they can get loans issued to them to realize to realize that capital, so it's not a taxable event, and insurance, right? Proper insurance models, and these are the things that we'll be rolling out over the next year.
And you know what I think too, Forex? I think it's also important to note that we're in a bear market, and that's not just affecting drip, that's affecting everything else, right? A lot of things follow what's going on with Bitcoin. And
Oh yeah,
with your design system, you've proven credibility because of other products that you've released. This isn't your first rodeo, right? But you have a group of people out there that are skeptical for one reason or another. So as you release things, that will prove itself, right? The actual products themselves will show their sustainability. For example, a lot of people have said that drip is unsustainable. I think it's a huge statement when you look at the reward system. If people participate to earn that interest, here we are, it's about a year and a half that drip exists. In comparison to other
yeah,
projects that try to do these sort of things, drip is still around. It's still paying out every day into the system. And the new things that you're rolling out is only going to strengthen that to make sure that it's more maintainable. So the proof is in the pudding. And you've got a
yeah,
bear market, plus you've got the downtime for the animal farm. Like, I think it's a simple fact. You've got skeptics that are out there that the animal farm went up, then it's been down, and it didn't go down for a week. It's been down for months. Here we are, days away from the relaunch of this. And I think that there's a handful of people that when they see that the animal farm is back up, it's launched, it's been a week, it's been a month, okay, it's been 2 months now. Everyone has their different goalposts that they set, right? But at some point, people are going to look at this and say that this thing is moving forward. This thing is legitimate, just like the other things that you've done. That'll attract old investors to come back in, to feel confident to put their money into the system. That will also attract new investors to come in. And the simple fact is that with everything that hasn't been, from a historical standpoint, drip was at a high of about what, $171 to $191 or so, right?
yeah, on the exchange.
Yeah, depending on the exchange. When you look at that simple fact, you have neglected all of these other elements. Think about how many people are even dive into crypto in general, right? We are so incredibly early. I think that it is ignorant for anyone to automatically assume that a $3,000 price point for drip itself is impossible. It's unrealistic. It's realistic just in the simple fact from a market cap perspective, based on comparable projects like Forex was explaining here, that has already proven their market cap. That's already happened. And this is how early that we are. So I'm very excited to see the animal farm come back up, to see the crypto market start to go into a bull run. And I think that price appreciation can climb very fast in a short period of time, even faster now because of all the additional utilities, the additional places that you'll be able to stake it, the new players that are already coming in, the people that have already been taking profits, that have money set off to the side, right? And that's another important fact. Keep in mind that, guys, with the prices being down, that's because people were selling. There's a handful of people out there that have money on the sidelines right now. They're just waiting for that green sign to go, for them to dive back in and feel like now they can go ahead and on it. There are people that are down. Yes, people profits from this ecosystem that are just simply waiting for the timing to get back in, not including everyone else that's
Yeah.
new. So I really want to stress this because as an influencer Forex, I deal with on my side comments in the live stream, comments in videos, comments on social media where people are naysayers, they're skeptical. But when you have historical facts that are on your side, you can use that to help justify where this could potentially go. So I think it's unfair when people want to ridicule you based on this live stream or past videos where you've had any kind of a comment on what potentially a price point for drip can be. You know what I mean? So I think that what you're doing is on the right track. I think it's brilliant. And when people really want to deep dive into it, they listen to your long explanations. They have the white paper details of how you've taken design systems that have already been made and you found a way to make them better. And that's how we innovate. That's how we evolve. That's how we find solutions to problems that already pre-exist. To make the assumption that this project is going to fail because other projects failed is an unfair assumption when you are doing things differently than what the other projects have done. And you have a substantial community. It's proven right here. I'm kind of ranting on just a tad bit here, but I continue to do videos on drip. Keep that in mind, right? I built up a large portion of my by doing news reporting updates on a completely different crypto. And I got a lot of backlash because of the fact that I started talking about drip at one point because a lot of people didn't understand it properly. They don't want to take the time, or they just listen to other people and their perspective views, and they just make assumptions. And you know what I say to that? It's their loss. There's plenty of other people that have paid attention, that have listened, that have done their research. And I think it is incredible. I have never seen anyone in this industry space as intelligent as you are. Okay. I know that that's a huge compliment if people think I'm stroking your ego, whatever. I've interviewed lots of different projects. I've looked at a lot of different projects. I think that you're doing an incredible job. The only thing that I feel at this point that you could do better is to make things more simple for the average person because you know so much terminology, you're so detail oriented that sometimes things can be discussed for a little bit too long when the average person just can't grasp it. They're not at that level. And so people like me, I try to help translate a lot of the things that you're saying. And I'm hoping that people are open-minded enough to realize that at the point at where we're at right now in this industry space, you are so incredibly early. If anyone was considering this system, the price is way cheaper. Not financial advice, right? You guys go make your own decisions on this. Do not come to me and be pissed off and complain and say that like I didn't do enough to try and educate you guys. The other people didn't do enough. If you missed the boat on this, you have only yourself to blame. I came in at a much higher price point. I've been compounding every single day. So everyone, make your own decisions on this stuff. We're almost done with the live stream. If you have a little bit more time, I've got one more key question, and then I would like to take the floor, possibly take a couple questions from the community. Is that okay, Forex?
Yeah, I got plenty of time. I reserved this morning for you, and I appreciate the platform. And, you know, just to speak very quickly about a couple of the things you said, absolutely, when the whole crypto market does a correction, everything's going to correct, including our products. But Pigs is completely paired with stables, so it should be basically shielded from that, but still you have less capital in the ecosystem when we have bear markets, and it is what it is. All markets go through cycles, but if you look at the yield that Drip has paid out over this bear market and over, you know, the year and a half since it's been launched, and you account for that in the price, we have outperformed all of these major altcoins. You know, Cake did a 85%, 90% correction, whatever it did, effectively the same thing that Drip did, but Cake isn't paying out 1% daily ROI. So there were a lot of naysayers, definitely, especially when we first launched, and I knew that would be the case because I specifically took a model that a ton of people were getting scammed on. I saw all my friends going into these daily ROI platforms and basically losing their money. They wouldn't last a week, and I thought, okay, there's a ton of demand for this. How can I make a sustainable, fair model? And I did that. I put it out in the world, and for the first 5 months, 6 months, well, initially people were saying it was going to last a month, and then it's going to last 3 months because then people will hit their 100% ROI and start selling. Then it's only going to last a year. We've been getting these crazy predictions for since launch, right? And Drip has continued to outperform all of these other projects. There's been a ton of forks that have tried to copy Drip, but have either got something wrong, didn't fork the whole project, just forked one element. They don't have the community as us. We're a first mover, so we're here to stay. Drip isn't going anywhere, and I knew Drip would get this kind of heat because one, it has a very aggressive referral structure, and two, it's doing a daily ROI. And part of the reason why I wanted to do Animal Farm is because Animal Farm has this undeniable utility, and it will attract some of those people who are, they don't want to do a deep dive, they don't want to learn about the details, and they really, they need something that is just so cut and dry. Like, this has utility. You're lending capital to a major exchange, which is earning profit through fees, and a portion of these fees are paid out to you in the form of BUSD. And there's an incentive structure built on top of this to make it as efficient as possible. That's so undeniable that this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do Animal Farm, because it kind of takes some of those people on the sidelines who don't want to get involved with Drip because they feel like, however they feel about it. Maybe the utility is not as obvious as something like an Animal Farm. So I feel very, very good about how Drip has performed, relative to these other projects. When you include the yield that's been paid out, I only see Drip getting better. Some of the sustainability mechanisms, such as the max payout, doesn't even come into play until a year. So people can earn 365 on their deposits, and they're earning 1% a day before they hit their max payout. So that means max payouts, which is a sustainability function, do not even come into play until the first year. So that's another thing we're going to this next bull run with, the fact that a ton of these early whales who got in just to kind of drain the project are hitting their max payout, and they can no longer drain the system. So there's so many positive things happening with Drip, and there's always going to be naysayers, but we've proven ourselves. We've proven ourselves sustainable, and the future is bright. And I agree with you as well that there's going to be some people with Animal Farm that maybe were in V1 or they were in Manor Farm, and they saw the delay, and they're just thinking, okay, let me just see it go live. Let me see it functioning for a week or 2 weeks. But at the end of the day, Animal Farm has better mechanics and is a better system than any yield aggregating or lending platform in all of crypto, in all of DeFi, and in all of finance. So it's only a matter of time before they see it running for whatever it is for them, and they say, okay, I'm going to get in because I'm just losing money sitting on the sidelines. Right. And that will happen.
And people see their friends, right? Everyone talks. Yeah. Next thing you know, you have FOMO, is people are seeing other people reaping the benefits over here. And it eventually gets to the point where they're like, you know what? I got to get over my ego. I want to participate in this. Maybe they don't even tell people publicly about it, but they want to actually get in because they don't want to miss the boat, right? We see that very often in this space.
And then we have a core base. We have a massive core base of at least 25,000 very strong core investors that get into our project at launch every time. And because of the mechanics of dog and pigs, the price appreciation is going to be massive. And that's another thing that's going to attract people when they see the price doing 10, 20, 30, 50x. People cannot help but get involved. And just one more quick thing that I want to talk about, because this is something that I wanted to actually write about today, but I'm in this interview, so it's a perfect time to discuss it. We made adjustments to the emission rate based on V1. So this is there's two great things about doing a V2. One of them is that we were able to collect a huge amount of liquidity. So between dog and pigs, we have something like $35-40 million worth of liquidity, and that becomes capital that is used as a reward vehicle for the dog pound and the pig pen. So when people transact the dog token, that BNB and BUSD that's being paid out is coming from the liquidity pool. Capital that would otherwise be going to the person dumping is going. So it would otherwise be going from the liquidity pool to the person dumping, is instead going from the liquidity pool to pay out dividends to people that are not dumping, to pay out people that are staking. And having that large starting liquidity pool of tens of millions of dollars makes it so there's tens of millions of dollars worth of BNB and BUSD all ready to be paid out on day one. And then the other major thing that we benefit from a V2 is being able to learn from V1. So we learned, right, a bunch of things. We improved the liquidity helper system. So previously, when people were transacting dogs, there was a 3% tax on dogs that went to liquidity helper, and the BUSD from deposit withdrawal fees went to liquidity helper. When there was more dogs value on the contract than BUSD, when it went to some of the dogs to create to add that liquidity, wisdom. So now only BUSD gets sent to the liquidity helper, and then when that BUSD gets over a threshold, it can only buy dogs and add that liquidity. So we made that major improvement. We made a major improvement to the game theory as far as moving the drip token over to the Dogs Master Chef. We added the whole vesting system, which is a major improvement. But speaking to the emissions, previous when it comes to the APY on the farms and pools, and what this does in the previous model was it rewarded people for earning dogs and pigs in the farm and then selling them on the market. So you have a bleed in the price. Now we have our supply control algorithm, which adjusted to this and went down to the deflationary setting. Well, first it went to the restricted setting, and that stabilized the price. Then it went to the deflationary setting, and that's when the price started pumping again. But with V2, since we have this new model where the rewards are coming in the form of BUSD and BNB, and the higher the price of dogs and pigs appreciates, the higher the BNB and BUSD dividends are, because those dividends, I kind of explained it earlier. If someone buys dogs at launch and they put it into the dog pound to start reducing the tax, and the price does a 10x, now they may decide, okay, the price is up 10x. I've been in the dog pound for a month, so I've reduced my tax down to 50%. I could sell now. I'm gonna get hit with a 50% tax, but the price is up 10x, so I'm gonna collect a 5x on this. So maybe it makes sense for me to sell at this time. So that person sells. Now they've just created 5 times more B&B value relative to what they put into the system when they got in, and that will be paid out to the stakers in the dog pound and in the pig pen. So the higher the dog token price appreciates, the higher the BUSD and BNB dividend is when someone does do that transaction. So what we've done is adjusted the emission rates to focus and optimize price appreciation rather than profit taking through the selling of dog and pig. So now instead of the APY being 700, 600, the APY on the dog and pig tokens will be 60%, 70%, 80%, but the BUSD and the BNB dividends will be 10x plus higher. So instead of that profit being realized through emissions, through increasing the dog and pigs and having those dog and pigs being dumped on the market, the appreciation is coming in the form of an increased price of dog and pigs and an increased BUSD and BNB dividend. So previously, there was no variable tax structure on the dog token. So just having that variable tax structure on the dog token is going to increase the payouts by at least 30x, right? Right, that's a reasonable estimate because previously we were doing a 3% swap. When someone transacted dogs, there was that 3% swap, and that swap was to BUSD and paid out to the pig pen. Now it's a maximal 90% swap, right, which is a 30x increase in the amount of BNB and BUSD that can be paid out. And you might think, well, no one's going to want to pay that 90% tax. That's true, but when they don't pay that 90% tax and they allow the tax to reduce, so they're not selling, that makes the dog token appreciate, which increases the BNB. So I expect the payouts, the dividend payout in the dog pound didn't exist then, but let's just say relative to what was paid out in BUSD in the pig pen, what's going to be paid out in BNB and BUSD in the dog pound, the pig pen, I believe will be at least 30x more. Plus, that's not accounting for the fact that the emission rates are also adjusted to create greater price appreciation. So just the tax model alone, the new tax model alone, should increase the BNB and BUSD dividend payout by around 30x, right? And then the fact that the APYs are going to be adjusted, so instead of 780%, it's 78%. This is going to this should have an effect, about a 10x effect on the price of dog and pigs. And when you have a 10x effect on the price of dogs, that 10x is the dividend payout. So that is a 10x on a 30x. So you're looking at something like a 300x increase in dividend payouts, and that's if we have basically the exact actions that happened in V1 happen in V2, then we'll see a 300x increase in dividend payout. But instead of that being paid out 100% in BUSD, it will be paid out about 2/3 in BNB, 1/3 in BUSD. So this is the adjustment that we made to the emission rates because of our new tax structure, which is paying out the reward in BNB and BUSD. So now the focus will be on, okay, you either buy dog or buy pigs to get into the pig pen or the dog pound, and there'll be a high demand to do that because you don't have to worry about the supply inflating at a rate that is diluting your value while you're in there. And because the value is not being diluted by a high emission rate, you're going to see greater price appreciation, and that is going to increase the BNB dividend, plus the fact that the tax is going from 3x to up to 90x. That will do around a 30x increase as well. So basically, my point to this is that we will the with the new structure, you'll see a reduction in the APYs that you're earning in the form of the dog and pig tokens, right? A significant reduction in that. You'll see a massive increase in the dividends paid out in BNB and BUSD. And it was important to do this because we want people taking their profit in the form of BNB and BUSD instead of the native assets. And that's what this new structure allows for. So the APYs are still higher than PancakeSwap, though. So you're going to see, all right, the APYs are still like 20-30% higher than PancakeSwap, plus I'm earning a BNB and BUSD dividend that has a value that's like 300x higher than the BUSD that was paid on V1.
So Forex, we're coming up here on almost 2 hours. I've got one more question that I want to ask you, and then I'll open up the floor to just a couple questions from the community. Already it's getting to the point where some people that might want to go back and watch a live stream, it'll be too overwhelming because of the length of the video. But I do encourage you guys to go back, listen through. There's a lot of very good new information that's come out in this. So I got my one question. And also, I don't want to forget this, but I think you, correct me if I'm wrong, were you going to be talking about details regarding the giveaway stuff in this live stream also?
Oh yeah, let me just contact my CMO, because let me see if he can give me the address right now.
Sure. Because I know a lot of people are wondering about that. I saw a remark about it earlier. I didn't want to forget about it.
Yeah, absolutely. A winner was picked on the 18th, and we were just waiting for launch to do it, but we didn't want to just have it sitting idle without a new contest for the new launch. So we do want to announce that, and then have the yep, I got it. Okay.
So how are you going to share this?
Okay.
Are you going to post it in the Telegram? If you want to do it that way, I could copy it and paste it in my live stream chat on YouTube also, so people see it there. Or how exactly do you want to handle that?
Okay, well, I can tell you the person's name. I can tell you their email. I can send it. I'll forward it to you in on Telegram, so you can say it, and then of course we'll put it in the call channel and all over the place. And what I want to do is give this person up until launch to reach out to. You can reach out to Bartertown. You can reach out to Original BP, who's our project manager. I wouldn't reach out to me, able to get a hold of me. Go into the group chat on Telegram, blast us there. Go on Twitter, leave a reply, reach out, right? And because I just want to make sure that this isn't some bot account and we don't send the money to some address that someone. We're using a API that does a very good job of filtering out bots, because you have to verify accounts and do all kinds of stuff to enter. But just to be extra sure, we want to just verify that it's a legitimate person. But this does appear to be a legitimate person. So reach out. If they don't get to us by launch, by November 1st, we'll pick a new person. But let me just forward this to you.
Someone else was suggesting maybe sending out a tweet about it.
Yes, we will do that. So the person is Zaria Van Pelt, and
Zaria Van Pelt, based out of the.
Should I say their email address? I probably shouldn't say their email address.
I was thinking about that. I feel like that probably wouldn't be a good idea, because people are going to reach out and
Yeah.
spam them. And I don't know if they're necessarily watching the stream right now. But if you are watching the live stream, guys, whoever it is that is named Zaria Van Pelt, if that's the name that you registered when you opted in for the big giveaway, this is the $5,000 worth giveaway,
Yeah.
correct?
Yep, and we'll be sending that in BUSD. So you reach out to us any way you can. If you reach out to Original BP on Telegram, it's at Original BP, just like that. That's his tag, his username on Telegram. He's our project manager. He actually just took over as a project. I've been working for in the past couple of weeks to kind of get him onboarded, and he's been really working as a project manager for just a few days now, and he already got us the fiat on ramp approved. So he's making very, very strong progress already, and I'm very excited about that. But if you reach out to him, he'll get to me right away. You reach out to Bartertown, he'll get to me. The entry number was 91415. So you were the 91,405th person to enter in the contest. The API that we use chooses a random person, so we did not choose this person. And if they don't reach out, then we'll pick another random person on November 1st. And also, we have another live contest going on right now, so you can go to animalfarm.app. You can put in your socials. Even if you've already done it the previous contest, do it again, and you can win $5,000 again, and that's sent out in BUSD. So
I want to stress that.
Reaches out.
Let's stress that, guys. You're listening right now. If you're bummed out because you didn't win $5,000, this delay just created an opportunity where you've had two chances now. That winner was just announced, Zaria. They still have a couple days left to claim their prize. If they don't win it, correct me if I'm wrong, Forex, would that mean that you're going to do another poll and somebody else has a chance to still win the first giveaway?
Yeah, we'll just pick another random user, but these contests are not going to be a one-time thing for launch. We're not going to do them back to back because obviously you don't want it to get old. But we're going to have contests basically whenever we do any kind of new deployment, anything that we want to promote in a major way. We're going to have another contest, and we'll be giving away money like this.
And the second giveaway, this is also the one that's running live right now that people can enter in today. At this moment in time, they have a chance to win $5,000 again, correct?
Absolutely. If you go to animalfarm.app, that will take you to the landing page, and it's right there.
So congratulations again to Zaria Van Pelt. I have one more question for you, Forex, from the community. It's already starting to get pretty long in the live stream. We talked a bit earlier. You hit chain. This is a question that I have. A lot of projects go off and make their own blockchains. What is the likelihood we could see a Forex blockchain?
Okay, so my answer to this is that I believe BSC is optimized right now. It has the network effect. It has a strong team running it. It has the best mechanics in all of DeFi right now. So I would not make a new chain unless I was adding a significant improvement and significant value. And right now, I think what developers should be focused on is not building new chains, especially not BSC forks. Like there's another token, another chain coming out. I'm not going to name it, but it's literally just a BSC fork, and but more centralized. And that's what all of these chains coming out, all of the EVM ones, which means the ones that you can use with MetaMask and do smart contract stuff, they're effectively all BSC forks, and I have no interest in doing another BSC fork. What we need is developers building products that have real value and that add fundamental value to the chains that we have, so people actually have something to do on the chain. We don't need more chains. That's like I would say a chain is kind of like a telecom company, or a or like a cable company. right now we have a ton of telecom companies, we have a ton of cable companies, but very few things to watch, or very few people to call, basically. And we need people creating product with true value. And I think the first place to look is at traditional markets. Where are there products that people love and use and need, and how can we decentralize them and create them on the chains we have now to bring people into DeFi? And that's my focus. And my main focus, my list on what things that people should be focused on, in my opinion, is privacy, is insurance, is lending, and gaming. Right, are the